I'm curious as to how they look. It's all quarterback play. Their offensive line is incredible. Their defensive line will be very good at Trinity. It's just, again, do they have a quarterback who can make that throw?
But all in all, it looks like that football is pretty much the same way it was last year at this time. Vanguard probably has the most talent. Denellen probably will make a long run into the playoffs. Westport will be much improved, although they did lose some quality offensive linemen.
I don't know if Westport will be better than they were last year.
They may not be, but they're not going to be the zero team again.
No, gosh,
the coaching staff there is committed to making good men and good members of society and good football players. I met those coaches when you took me to the golf tournament. And I firmly believe the coaching staff at Westport is there to make good decisions and make young men into good grown men.
That's right, and as long as Steve Rim is there, they'll be very competitive.
The game that I thought was very telling to me was a 14-14 tie between the Forest Wildcats and the first-year coached Bellevue Rattlers, coached by Brady Ackerman. They played to a tie. It's a huge to me. That's a huge win for Bellevue.
Oh, it's a massive, and I saw that and I was like, oh.
And that's a Wildcat team.
All right.
That's a Forest Wildcat team that defense is really, really good.
Well, they've got they've got a couple of seniors who are coming around this year. Arguably the best defensive lineman in the county this year, Elijah Russell. I think he's got a better chance of playing D1 football than he does D1 basketball. And he's a very, very good basketball player. You look at that and you're like, wow, that kid can play. So I'm curious. Good for Brady. Again, that's one of those films I'm going to need to watch. I'm going to need to text him, and he needs to give me access to his film so I can study it.
Well,
so on Huddle,
I know that he will not give me access to the sidelines. I know that.
Well, no, you probably hurt yourself. That's probably best.
Well, I asked him earlier if I could help him, and he was like, "Well, Coach, there may be a spot for you. What do you got to bring to the program?" And I know you're a linebacker and everything. What do you got to bring to the program? I said, "Well, here's my skill level and everything." I said, "Before we even get started, let me ask you. Can I grab him by the face mask, snatch him down to where I can see him eye to eye, give him the business, and then get rid of him?" He goes, "Yeah, we don't coach that way anymore." I go, "Well, then, yeah, I'm stay on the radio then. I'm not coaching's not my deal then anymore, I guess, because I wouldn't know how to coach."
And John Ivory's out there. He's really become the big booster that they needed to give some financial support behind them, and I know he's happy.
Well, Bellevue moved the football well against Forest up and down the field, and that was the concern because Bellevue hadn't been able to move the football. And this new look offense Brady's running seemed to be able to, against the Forest defense it's not a new Forest defense. These guys have played together before. Now, I know it's a jamboree, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But Bellevue was able to put the ball up and down the field, and that's a good takeaway. Although Brady said in his interview with the Star Banner that after watching the game, I'm sure we're going to go look at the film. There'll be a lot to work on, but, it's a good starting point. We were able to move the football. I was impressed with the fight the men gave me, and we were able to move the football against the Forest football defense. It's a pretty good defense here in the county. So that was the most surprising thing to me out of the jamboree was how good Bellevue looked against Forest.
Well, I will tell you, Forest lost 4 or 5 guys to transfers. Jaden Hodge, who left there and went to Trinity. Isaiah Guy went to Vanguard. They've lost some guys, but I really expected them to blow them out. I really did. I was more impressed with Bellevue's defense.
Yes.
Only allowing 14 points. That's pretty big.
And Brady, by the way, Brady Ackerman knows nothing about defense. He was a running back at, was it Sandalwood, I think, Sandalwood or Fletcher or something?
Yeah. No, you know what he knows? True. He knows how to get hit by the practice when he was on the scout team, and the starters used to light him up.
Oh, you're talking about his university. You're talking about
part.
his University of Florida days now.
Absolutely, sure.
You know, that's
Sure.
that is how I went from the practice squad to the big squad. Was Tommy Spangler walked over to me and goes, "You know, you're not supposed to be hitting them like they're hitting you. You're the practice squad." I go, "I got to put a pair of pads on, Coach. If he's coming at me, I'm gonna try to knock him unconscious." He goes, "I like that answer. I like that answer." I never understood why people said, well, you know, like in Rudy, you know that scene in Rudy where they're going full tilt and Rudy goes and the guy on the practice squad gets mad and Eric Parsegia walks over and goes, "That's why you never started here, because you don't have the fire to do that." I never understood why they thought the practice team should go like 3/4 speed. I didn't want to be on the practice squad. So the way to get off the practice squad was knock somebody out on the big squad and then you take their place. I always thought that was how it worked.
Yeah.
Although Brady, I don't think Brady was knocking Emmitt Smith out of the, starting lineup. So,
No. I mean, who was a linebacker? He tells the story. Oh gosh. And he would just take hits from him. I think that was his whole job. He was his tackling done.
What, Wilbur Marshall?
Yeah, Wilbur Marshall was on that squad. Yeah, that's probably somebody you probably don't want to be a tackling dummy for.
Ask the University of Southern California. Wilbur Marshall won that football game because University of Southern California said, "We're not going to block him on the backside because he can't run our people down." And all he did was run everybody down the entire game on ABC. And all of a sudden the country was talking about this guy, 58, Wilbur Marshall at the University of Florida.
Made him a number 1 draft pick.
It did. Running down from the backside USC players when USC said, "We're not blocking him. He's not good. He's not fast enough to run us down." And then
that was back in the day. That was back in the day when Florida football, like the whole state of Florida, was just considered okay.
Right.
Right. They California was the class.
Right. Or supposedly. We all know the class of football is the Deep South, but still, California thought they were the class.
No. Back then it wasn't. Back then it was California and Texas.
You know as well as I do.
You
know as well as I do, Georgia's always been as good as it gets. So's Louisiana. They were as good as Texas and California no matter what.
Nobody loses better than the people in the state of California or state of Georgia.
Hey, somebody sent a meme out yesterday. You can tell it's college football season because a buddy of mine from the university, that's a University of Tennessee fan, sent out this meme yesterday. It's one of the greatest memes ever. It when you pull it up, let me pull it up here. It is hilarious though. When you get into it, how funny it is. It goes, it's a smoker, right? And it's a smoker grill, like 3-4 foot tall smoker grill, and it's got Georgia Bulldogs emblems all over it. It goes, this smoker doesn't actually cook food. It just talks about how good it used to cook food.
That's pretty good.
I thought, that's pretty. Somebody asked me the other day, you claim Georgia and all. Why don't you watch your Georgia fan? First off, I'm from the biggest city in Georgia. I'm in the biggest redneck city in Georgia, born and raised, Jacksonville. And so everybody goes, "Why aren't you a Georgia fan?" Well, I was a Florida State fan growing up. Till Ron Simmons shoved me down in the airport when I asked for an autograph. I was a Florida State fan. And then I became a Gator fan. But I've never liked the University of Georgia, ever. Because I had cousins that would shove it in your face. And then the way they treated Coach Russell, it was to my benefit that Vince Dooley didn't want Coach Russell to come take his legacy, so he went with Ray Goof instead, and Coach Russell got to come to Georgia Southern. But, that was just another reason I didn't like Georgia. So I've never liked the University of Georgia. And then the way they treat us like redheaded stepchildren, Georgia Southern, like we don't even count. We're less than anything in the state of Georgia, even less than Georgia State or Valdosta State or something. I got Athens. I ain't got no love for that place at all.
Apparently not.
None. Although I like red and black because that's the Falcons' colors. I do like that. I like that color scheme because it's the Falcons. Hey, speaking of my favorite teams. Every week I ask you and you go, "Look, calm down. They're not going to win anything. Calm down. They're not going to win anything." But all they're doing is beating everybody. They just had their second sweep in a row. They went from 7 games out of first the last week of June to now they're 5.5 games in first in the month of August. I know the NL East is not a very good team, but I thought when Ronald Acuna Jr. went down that the Braves would fold up, and they've done anything but fold up since that injury.
No, you're exactly right. They're actually playing their best baseball right now, so I'm pretty impressed. Thankfully, the Red Sox had a postponement due to COVID, which is probably their only opportunity of not losing right now. So, yeah, that.
Hey, we got about 3 minutes left in this segment. I got to ask you, the ACC announced on Friday, and then all the other 4 power conferences, Pac-12, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC all announced along at the same time. If your team cannot go because of a COVID outbreak, your team will forfeit. It will go down as a loss. You will not get a remake or anything like last year. COVID, if you don't have enough people to play the game, you will get a loss. It will be a forfeit. You okay with that ruling?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where we're at right now. And again, if you're vaccinated, then you don't have to be quarantined. That's also the rule, which I think is incredibly important. And by the way, the FHSAA has said, or the school systems have said the same thing. So, which is why my son's been vaccinated, because I guarantee you, some other kids in this class are going to become positive, or that exposure rule that doesn't really make sense, and it could devastate a team. So I have no problem with it. None whatsoever.
I think it's actually very good because it makes teams make the commitment to make sure you're policing as you should where your players go, what they do, who they're exposed to.
Well,
because it is something that you have to be mindful of.
Or, and this is the really easy answer, Tom. Tell your kids not to get tested.
Well.
What? And again, we've said this a million times.
But can they deny? Can they do that?
Sure. Why get tested for COVID? What's the benefit of being tested for COVID?
Well, but I don't know that they're going to be able to opt
treat it
out.
The same.
I don't think that they're going to be able to opt out.
No. There is no testing forced by the NCAA.
Oh, okay.
It's not like a weekly test.
Oh, okay.
Now some do. Some schools are, but not all of them. So what's the point of getting tested then?
Well, that's a good point.
Don't get tested.
Good point.
Just isolate, right?
Good
Fight through it.
Good point. Fight through it. You do the same thing for it that you do for other viruses that are very close.
Correct.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, like every other flu.
Yeah. You fight through it, and I chose to get vaccinated, as you chose to get vaccinated, but I wasn't going to get tested. The only reason I got tested is because I had to have surgery. If it wasn't for that, I would have got tested. If I got sick, I'd have just worked through it. You know what I mean? Just work through it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's correct.
So you're looking forward to the candidate forums. You're gonna YouTube it today at 10:30 to be in tune?
Absolutely.
Or are you gonna go sit in your car and you'll be in the Gainesville. You can't sit in your car and listen to it.
I'll be in Gainesville. Well, by the way, God, I'm so happy I don't live in Gainesville. They decided to do the mask mandates for everyone starting Wednesday here.
Hey, by the way, the governor has said no mask mandates. Guess what city school system decided on mandates? Tallahassee announced this morning they're going with a mask mandate.
Yeah, I saw that. Hey,
Galen, where's the Bloodmobile?
Marion County's already committed to the out. Today, we're actually at the Walmart down in the Villages, so stop by and see us there. But as always, right there on the boulevard, 1607 East Silver Springs Boulevard. Give blood.
Galen, talk to you tomorrow.
Bye, y'all.
Galen from Life South joins us every day. Brought to you by the good folks at Penn Flooring, Just Shipped, and Palm Garden Health Rehabilitation. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
It's time for Farmer Ranch headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Darren Scribner reporting. The U.S. Peanut Federation, representing all the
officials in Kabul, Afghanistan, are reporting a deadly firefight broke out at the airport on Monday between Western security forces and Afghan guards. The incident at the north gate of the airport involved German and U.S. security forces. The statement from the German military did not say whether the guard killed at the airport was a Taliban fighter. Biden is scheduled to watch a virtual G6 leaders meeting on Tuesday to discuss Afghanistan. President Biden on Sunday said the evacuation crisis in Afghanistan could extend beyond August 31st. At least 21 people were killed and some 20 others missing after severe flash floods swept through Humphreys County in Middle Tennessee over the weekend. Up north, the system named Henri is drenching the northeast with rain Monday. Henri, which made landfall as a tropical storm Sunday afternoon in Rhode Island, moved northwest through Connecticut. It has flooded areas as far as New Jersey before drenching.
It's time for Farm and Ranch headlines.